Hi, my name is Alexandra and welcome to the Family Code. I'm a systemic consultant and in my work I help to uncover the patterns from the depth of relational or company chaos. So the topic for today's video is a super interesting and controversial one because we will talk about the provider trap. So how feminine energy gets entrapped in the golden cage. Maybe you have been in this situation where you have read all of this ideology and the YouTube videos and everybody telling you be a feminine woman, let go, surrender control, allow your man to take over, allow your man to steer the direction, allow your man to basically control everything. So yeah, I want to touch upon that in this video because I think this is a very important topic, especially for women, because women have this dream of meeting a provider archetype man, a man who delivers, a man who is there, a man who pays, not 50-50, a man who contributes, a man who is masculine, basically. We, of course, this is very nice and very good quality of a man who can be a provider, but we need to also take into account the historical perspective and the historical data. And I think if you're a woman, I am from the eastern parts of Poland, so maybe you can relate to me. But in this generation of women, our ancestors on the female line, they didn't have an, let's say, a happy-go-lucky life because of the scarcity, for example, of food, of wars, of men controlling ownership, properties, and money, and women raising kids and cooking dinners, lunches, and breakfasts, and taking care of the family. So, the provider trap, the masculine man who provides, the fantasy that yes, you need to be feminine, you have to let go, you have to trust him that he will, if he's like this, he will treat you well and you will be well taken care of. Well, not all the time and not in every scenario. Why? Because the provider archetype man might have an unhealthy side to him, and this unhealthy side is control. Control through resources. And this is what historically has been going on in the countries before women gained independence and they could go and work. So if you have this attitude that you believe in the feminine energy, that the man should provide the housing, the man should take care of the finances, the man should be the head of the family and so on, then I have something for you in this video that might give you some, I don't know, inspiration. Maybe let's call it like this. So when protection is mixed with dependency or silent control. For example, if you are meeting a man and he's the provider type, he pays, he's happy to do it, you see he does it from his heart, it's not a manipulation. But later on, he asks you to submit your independence. For example, it can be something like, oh, move closer to me or move to my flat because my flat is bigger than yours. Partnership should be based on equality. And with a provider man, you are supposed to enter into his system of his dominance, even though it might be silent dominance that is not that you don't notice straight away, that you have to submit yourself to live in his flat, to live where he wants, he gives the direction and you submit. Then the fun part begins if the provider archetype has unhealthy traits like control and making you fully dependent. So yeah, so then as a woman you enter such a relationship, you think you found, my God, I found such a great man, he's a real provider, I can now fully relax. And then you see that, okay, you relax, he provides everything, you move into his flat, but what happens silently, what not many women can perceive, is as soon as you become vulnerable, they are more controlling. They ask you to submit your authenticity and, for example, um, your autonomy, and they control where you, with whom you go out. They control everything because you are in their house. Or, for example, they say, yeah, move closer to me, or why don't we buy a flat together? Especially, I tell it to women who don't have a lot of money on their side, who are working, who are active, but women who don't have properties around the globe, women who don't have, let's say, a mortgage in the country where they live, women who rent flats, women who don't have, to such a degree, this material satisfaction because they work and maybe they were pregnant, maybe they gave to the kids, they had to work for the family, so of course then they didn't earn. So I'm talking about women, us, who don't come from wealthy families, especially, who had to build everything by themselves, especially by living in a foreign country, but also in your own country, especially when you don't have a house that is a kind of inherited from your grandparents or your family. So yeah, so then you move basically as a woman under the structure of your man, and he gets the silent control that can be weaponized against you. So if you decide to argue with him, if you decide to give him his feedback, if you say something that you don't like about his behavior, then in a blip of a second, he can say, okay, you don't like it, move out. The road is free, move out. You are not here by force. And then it turns out you gave everything to this man. You submitted. You moved to his flat because it was bigger. You moved to the place where he was living because, for example, he had kids and you wanted to honor that. But in the end, when you want to exit, or when you question this man, protector archetype man, he gets defensive. He gets, oh, you don't like it? Okay, go out. Or maybe even worse, he kicks you out because this is the territory, the assets are his, the house is his, the money is his, you don't like it, then you are thrown on the street and you suffer. So this is the unhealthy provider archetype. So actually, what I want to say is that men who have a healthy provider archetype, they behave and work through partnerships. And partnership is when king and queen meet and they are both equal. Okay? So the king has his castle, it can be a flat, a car, whatever, and a woman has her castle, even though the castle can be a rented flat, for example, okay? But she has something, she has work, finances, her own rented flat. So these are two castles and they are equal, okay? The structure doesn't depend on whose castle is the more expensive asset, okay? The structure is you respect yours and I respect mine. You respect mine and I respect yours. We meet halfway. We are equal. It's not about who earns more. No. And then if the relationship has chances to be successful, the provider archetype man needs to have healthy ingredients ingrained into his behavior that he can, for example, learn by adjusting to the women's autonomy, by saying, I allow for your autonomy, I see it, and this is what attracts me because I see I'm the king, but you're also a queen. You have something of your own, you're working, you're doing your life the way you please. And then what happens? They can meet halfway. They can rent a flat halfway from when they currently, for example, are, or choose a location that suits them both, not only one person. And they co-create a common element. It's like Vesica Pisces, if you know what I mean. So you have two two circles, and they intersect and they create one small circle. They don't overlap, they only intersect. It means I have my own life, you have my own life, and together we build partial community. Okay, so this is a healthy partnership. And if a man has a provider archetype, but he doesn't want to relinquish his structures to adjust to the woman like the woman adjusts to the man, then it's a sign that he's using his structure, money, assets, resources as leverage. And whenever the woman thinking, oh, I need to be feminine woman, oh, I need to be relaxed, chilled, and he will provide, and I will be forever safe, and such a woman moves to his flat, or he says, I will take care, and whenever he's in a bad mood or something happens or an argument comes, or she's pregnant and then she's locked, because if she says, hey honey, let's talk, I disagree, let's find another solution, he reacts defensively. You're questioning my power, you're questioning my assets, you're questioning me. It means I get rid of you. So golden cage, really think, my dear ladies, if you really want it, because the price for the golden cage comes at the exit, not before. The price of the golden cage comes when you get pregnant, when you see that what was agreed before doesn't work, when you see manipulative, controlling behaviors that prohibit your autonomy from your partner or your husband. Yeah, so feminine energy, sorry to say, but it's BS according to my understanding and my feeling. Be careful about it. Being a woman is enough to have to have feminine energy. You don't need to gather feminine energy, produce it, be inspired, rely fully on someone else, because you are on a path to making yourself a dependent, a slave with no power and no control. So the question to you is, do you want to be an autonomous queen who meets autonomous king and you co-create partially autonomous stuff? Or do you want to be a queen who sacrifices her own autonomy and structure and is dependent upon the king's castle structure? So actually that's it. That's what I wanted to say in this video. I hope it was inspiring for you. If you have ever been in this golden cage scenario situation, please drop a comment below and share your feedback. And maybe in the next video I can tell you about how a healthy provider looks like. So stay tuned. Thank you for now.